Hey everybody, it's Ricky from All Sorts of Words, and that title was not clickbait. I actually believe that. Before we start with my nonsense of breaking down my salacious title, let's have two quick housekeeping items. One, this isn't a political channel. I'm not here to change anybody's mind. I'm not here to change anybody's heart. I'm here to just express my own feelings about the way that I see the world. If you agree with me, cool. If you disagree with me, please let me know. There's very little growth opportunity for an individual in an agreement. I love that ice cream. I also love that ice cream. Nobody's walking away from that with like a new perspective on the world. I love that ice cream. That ice cream is evidence of systematic oppression. Oh God. I see more growth opportunity in having my own thoughts and feelings challenged. And so I want to have my own thoughts and feelings challenged. That leads me to housekeeping item number 2. I don't want this channel to be an echo chamber. I don't want this channel to be of like-minded individuals. That's not what I get out of bed for in the morning. I get out of bed in the morning to be challenged and to grow. And so my last video, me defending The Flash, people wrote literal novels in the comment section, and they were so good and well thought out. And I don't know, just like it was lovely to see people engage intellectually over a hobby that has largely been reduced to what book is moving on the market lately. What haul did I buy? Actually talking about this stuff is really cool, and I love it. And I want to be a conduit for those types of discussions. And here's the problem though. Most of those people who left really detailed comments didn't subscribe. My subscriber count right now is sitting at 69. I want to see this channel grow with more of those types of people. Look, if you think I'm shaking you down for subscriptions, you can feel that way. But like, I don't want everybody to just come to this channel and subscribe. But if you are engaging and adding something to the conversation, you're someone that I want around. I want this channel to be populated by intelligent, respectful, nice people. And that's all I got in my last video. And so I want to see more of it. I'm hoping that this video fosters more of that as well. As long as you can stick it out to the end and not just form your opinions right away, I think I can at least make a couple good points that might resonate with you. So, without further ado, comic books are woke, and it's the comic collecting community that made it that way. I want to start this off by talking about Maury Povich. Maury Povich has a daytime TV show where it's exes confronting exes, paternity tests. It's pretty much the awkward conversation you hear at the booth next to you when you're at Applebee's. The stuff that you pretend you're not listening to, but you're actually listening very intently. And invariably, there's always some person, some guy in the middle, or girl, who did something awful, like cheated on multiple people or lied about a paternity or something like that, right? And then there's one person on the left, one person on the right who is on either side of this offender. And you'd think both of those individuals would Voltron fuse and then come down on that one person like the hammer of Thor. Yes. But they don't. What do? They've both been hurt by this person in the middle, and they go and fight each other. That's kind of what's happening right now in comic books, and it's playing out in real time on YouTube, and I wanted to talk about it. A lot of people feel that there's an actual culture war going on right now. There's a boardroom at the top of a building somewhere in Manhattan. And just as the sun peeks over the other skyscrapers, it illuminates a boardroom table shaped like a coffin surrounded by old, evil white people. And at the head of that table is the richest man in the world, and he's in control of comic books and media. His subordinates are sitting around the table waiting for him to say something, to give them some direction. But instead, he silently sits there, leafing through his daily breakdown of metrics. And during the discomfort of waiting to hear what this man's going to say, he puts down his paper, looks over his crew, and says, "Make me more gays." That's close to the truth. There's still the nervous boardroom of people checking their ties and waiting to hear if they still have a job. And that old man, who's the richest person in the world that you've never heard of, does control a media empire, and he is giving directives. But he's not saying, "Make me more gays." He's saying, "Get me more gays." Big difference. Marvel Comics has been selling successfully to their market for a very long time. And those people have conflated their personalities with a comic company that they happen to enjoy. There is someone watching this video right now with a fictitious Marvel character tattooed somewhere on their body. They dedicated space on their skin to how much they love the product of a corporation. It sounds silly, but it's literally no different than if I love Walmart so much, I got a Dawn dish detergent tattoo. I'm not saying you're dumb for doing it. If you love something, express it however you want, but it is that way. You are representing a corporate symbol on your body. I met a guy with a Marvel Studios tattoo on his arm. Wild. It's a company. They make dumb decisions. They make great decisions. But to dedicate your flesh to it, that's a little extreme for me, but hey, go with God. If you've done that, if you've dedicated a large portion of your life to loving and supporting and celebrating this crazy, weird hobby that we have, what are the chances that you're ever going to walk away? But you've been here for a significant portion of your life. What would actually make you walk out the door? Is it crappy stories? No, they've told you crappy stories. Is it poor actors in movies or bad movies in general? No, you've stuck around and you're continuing to buy stuff. So what do? They shift their focus to someone else who isn't locked in the way that you are. Let me give you an analogy. Picture two towns that share a border. We'll call them Easton and Weston. Easton has a pizza place. We'll call it the Pizza Shop. It's been open for about 60 years, and everybody in Easton loves the Pizza Shop. We're going for lunch, Maud. You know, baby.
It's Friday night, guys. Where are we going? Pizza Shop.
Everybody loves this establishment. They bought t-shirts. Their local high school team is the Easton Pizza Shops. They love it, and they're not going anywhere. Weston is not a fan of eating out. They're just not that big into it. They eat at home and bankroll that money. Now, the owners of the Pizza Shop are having their yearly meeting where they're budgeting $10,000 of print, radio, and television advertisements to tell people about the glory of the Pizza Shop and how this is where you should come eat your food. And discussing where they should put that $10,000 in advertisements. What would be the point in trying to appease and appeal to the people you've already got locked down? They're going to put their resources and efforts into attracting this whole other town. Now, Easton, they're loud and proud about loving pizza. And they're wondering, why the heck are all these promotions, coupons, and commercials going to those lunch eaters over there? Well, it's because they have their money in their mattresses and they're not sharing it. And the Pizza Shop wants their cut. Someone lost their way with that analogy, so I'll explain it. You love X-Men. You've been watching them since the cartoon show. You're now in your 40s, and you're wondering why X-Men has changed so much. Why are there more gay characters? Why are there more trans characters? Why are there more debates about the environment and police justice and what is this? It's never been this way. Why is it this way? Well, you've been here for 40 years You've been here through the ups, the downs, the terrible stories, the great stories. You were there on the premiere of their movie, and you'll be there no matter what at their next premiere. And they know that about you. They know that nothing they do will piss you off enough that you will actually take your ball and go home. And so they're going to go after the people who they don't have that kind of goodwill with. They're going to try to lock them down the way they've already locked you down. You got their tattoo on your body, man. What are you going to do? Marvel Comics and DC, they see you as a sure thing. And in a lot of ways, not all of you, but some of you kind of are. You buy the titles every week, you buy all the variant covers, and then you go online and subscribe to people that say, get woke or go broke. How are they going broke? You're buying everything they have. And I've even seen this before. This blew my brain. I was talking to a guy who said, that they're so woke, their politics are in every issue now, and it's just like, why can't I just read about like them fighting Magneto anymore? Why isn't that a thing? And he literally said the sentence, I am never buying another modern Marvel book again. It's omnibuses for me. If you wanted to prove that you don't want them anymore, you kind of have to go whole hog. You can't have a Disney Plus subscription, go to the premiere of the latest Star Wars movie, buy a Star Wars shirt at Walmart, and also complain about Kathleen Kennedy's leadership. Dude, it's working, at least for you. Marvel could come out with a gay, trans, autistic, wheelchair Wolverine action figure to try to sell to all those different markets. And a portion of the population will actually say to themselves, no way, I'm going to stick it to Disney, go down to my local Target, and I'm going to buy every single classic Wolverine action figure there is, so that the only thing left on the pegs is the GTA WW. Right. All you've proven is that if they come out with a really crappy action figure, you'll clean them out of old stock. I've actually seen a version of that play out. I don't like this new action figure. I'm going to go buy all the old ones. What? And then you think, well, maybe I'll start a YouTube channel and I will express to 100,000 subscribers just how angry I am. My guy, those channels are the most informed and up-to-date consumers of information about modern Marvel Comics than anyone I've ever met. I've never met a more knowledgeable fan about the current woes of Marvel Comics than a person who hates Marvel Comics. It's actually quite impressive. And they go on YouTube and they shout into a camera about the MCU and how get woke or go broke. They say all these things. They whip up their audience, and then they tell their audience, these books now are bad. These old books are great. What does their audience do? They run out and buy the old books that the comic angry guy is telling them to go read. It's wild. It is a form of commercial that like people don't want to talk about. Like the big YouTube channels that have these big umbrages with these things. And so these people are going to buy Comixology subscriptions and they're buying the digital stuff. They're still funneling money into these companies that they say are so bad they don't want to support. So now look at the other side of the fence for a second, right? Just look at the other side. You have young readers that don't know anything about Marvel Comics being sold gay characters and trans characters because they're trying to tap that market. We need gay kids and trans kids who aren't buying comic books to come over to us and find a safe haven because we want to sell them tat. The other problem with Marvel Comics is they either A, have completely disconnected individuals who are so far removed from the human experience writing these characters that need to be handled appropriately, and they're terribly written. They're terribly written in awful stories. Maybe they're just not very good comic book writers in the first place. That is a thing. Or you get some 25-year-old kid writer and you tell them they're going to be the voice of a generation, and this person loses their mind in real time, starts thinking they're like a god or something, and writes these terrible stories that nobody likes, and they like double down on, if you don't like my books, you don't read my books. It's wild. The people they're trusting to try to rope this other generation of readers in. So now everybody's losing. Marvel Comics is sitting in the middle on the Maury Povich show. They're pissing off their original comic book readers because they're changing the tone of their stories, not caring about what these people are looking for in their books. And these two groups fight each other. Meanwhile, behind the scenes of the Maury Povich show, Manga and Scholastic Book eat Marvel's lunch. They gobble it up because of Stan the Man Lee. Back in the 60s, Stan Lee's grand design for Marvel Comics was that there was going to be a huge interconnected universe. One that lets them create really detailed and dynamic stories involving multiple different franchises.
Big plus.
Two, that keeps readers buying in-house everything. They're not going to DC for Superman anymore because they need to get their Fantastic Four, their Spider-Man, their Hulk, and they're running out of money, so we're going to keep all that money here at Marvel.
Big plus.
The downside of that is that Marvel now has to create a consistent tone throughout their universe. DC does too. I'm picking on Marvel because it's the most well-known and biggest offender. It's the same problem people have with the movies, how like everyone's snarky and quippy. It's because it all has to sound the same because it's all from the same place, man. So what happens when you have a creator come along that says, I want to make a gay ice skating comic book about boys who fall in love and they're all beautiful and it's all about boys ice skating, which incidentally is one of my favorite animes of all time. Manga and anime and scholastic books and YA fiction can do all of that. Marvel and DC are tonally stuck in being anchored to their most popular franchise. Whatever is the most popular book at Marvel, there's an invisible chain that goes to this other story, and it can't get but so far away from that tone, because what if someone else comes along in the future and wants to do a crossover event with your gay ice skating boy? He has to be able to get on the Avengers if he's super popular.
Downside.
That's one of the problems that Marvel and DC created themselves. That's their problem. All that being said, I don't have a solution. I don't have a solution. I'm not here to organize a protest. If I've done my job, you shouldn't be fully confident in what you think my politics are. Because I'm here to tell you, I am strongly of one political persuasion with several huge discrepancies between me and the rest of my political affiliation. Huge things that have made people at parties go like, I'm sorry, what? So I'm not here to organize a protest. I'm not here to get people up in arms. I'm just kind of here as a reality check that, like, why would they bother making you, the X-Men reader, happy? What does it matter to them? They've already got your money. They have their ink on your body. You're still going to tune in to watch X-Men 94 or whatever the hell that's called, 97. You're still going to tune in for that stuff. So what does it matter to them? They don't care. What they do care about is all the people whose money isn't being spent, which, look, I'm sympathetic to that. As a consumer of media and content, my God, I would be so annoyed if I'm inking my body, dedicating my life to collecting these comic books and these stories, only to have them say, no, the more valuable person's the one that's not here with me. Gross. I hate that. But the answer can't be to give them free advertisements on YouTube and complain about this stuff, or run out and buy different things by the same company pretending it's not going to the same pocket. I don't know what your solution is. Your mileage may vary. You have to make the best call for your life on how you want to fight this, or if you even want to fight this. I don't know. But that's up to you. I'm not going to try to change your mind. I will say, though, it really must suck for the gay reader who's being sold an inauthentic caricature of a queer-coded character that doesn't represent what their life looks like, and it's being sold to them as if it does. One of the big disadvantages that the comic companies have against manga is manga has those different niche stories. It can sell you really authentic, small, bite-sized, big sweeping epics of crazy stuff you never thought of. Girls in school just being friends and one of their mom dies, or kids with superpowers. Like, it can tell different types of stories, and it can be tonally different from everything else that came before it, whereas Marvel and DC are hamstrung to this continuity. Continuity is part of the problem too. So I don't know I don't know how to solve your problems. I don't know how to solve this issue. All I know is that the problem isn't each other who's buying this stuff. The problem is the company who's selling it to you, and what are you going to do about it? So far, the only voice of real reason I've heard on YouTube has been Comics by Perch. This guy who's saying, like, look, if you don't like it, if this isn't bringing you joy or adding value to your life, get the hell out of there. Just get the hell out of there. And it really is that simple. But I'm going to be a fan for a second and liken this to something kind of uncomfortable. My wife and I have this conversation a lot about abusive relationships and how there's this frustration you feel when you're talking to someone in the abusive relationship. You want to grab them by the shoulders and you want to shake them. You want to say, like, get the hell out of there. Like, they're bad for you. They don't love you. Leave. And there's this truth that we always have to reflect on about it's never as simple as just leave. It's never that simple. There's someone out there who's getting fleeced by Marvel, who is being fleeced by DC, who feels left out in the cold, who's watching all of the money they pour into the company being poured into groups that don't even necessarily like show up to buy this stuff. And they see that as like, dude, you're breaking this bond that we have. And, you know, I want to shout at them and be like, well, just leave. But it's never that simple as leaving. They have tattoos on their body. They've been reading it their whole lives. How do you just walk away from that? It's a wicked sunk cost fallacy. And think for a second, if you're that person, think for a second how frustrating this must be for the queer and gay reader who's being sold to like they're a commodity. Like, hey, we invented a gay now. Aren't you into comics all of a sudden? Did you think it was because there were no gays in comics that I wasn't reading them? No, it's because you generally have really shitty stories and terrible writing, and you hire 25-year-olds that you don't even want to pay. Okay, this is my last point. This video is super ranty, but like it's how I feel and how I felt for a while, so a lot of this is bubbling to the surface. But this is the last rant point that I have. I need to address Get Woke or Go Broke. 2020 saw a hitherto unseen calamity on the planet. Millions of people died. Corporations died. Savings were drained. Jobs were lost. It was an actual cataclysm. And we've moved past it, but we're already forgetting. Nobody wants to talk about 2020 anymore. But it happened, and we all lived through it, right? If you're listening to this, you lived through it. And we are currently, right now, this second as I'm speaking this, in a recession. They don't want to call it a recession, but we're in a recession. Interest rates are going up. Housing is going down. Prices are going up. And savings have been depleted. And then during all of this, Marvel is suffering, right? Marvel is not doing well. DC's not doing well. And so people are so quick to point their finger and say, doesn't that prove that you get woke and you go broke? And it's like I was sledding down a hill and I slid into traffic in the winter and I got hit by a truck. I bounced off a car and got impaled on a tree. And then some guy runs over to me and he goes, "Oh my God, that was crazy. Are you going to live?" And I'm like, "Oh man, that ingrown toenails just really did all this to me. It's killing me here." No, I think it was the truck and I think it was the car and I think it's the branch sticking through your chest. Like, why are you blaming this one small thing for the collapse of a paper goods company that can't keep up to competing markets? Why is it Get Woke, Go Broke this is the reason why Star Wars is failing. This is the reason. It can't just be bad writing. It can't just be inferior toys and disinterested youth and easy access to video games and social media. It can't be the changing landscape. It's like Joe Rogan, when he got COVID, he took that hydrochloroquine and he rested and he worked out and he was a physical specimen, and he took everything else his doctors threw at him, and he goes, it was definitely the hydrochloroquine. And you're like, dude, like, how would you even know? How would you even know? You do so much right with your body. How could you possibly say this is the one thing that did it when all the evidence to the contrary is that it didn't? I don't think we can lay get woke, go broke on the doorstep of these big companies who got screwed over by COVID and are actually some of the worst companies in the world. I don't know if we can do that. So like, I know most of this video is about like, why are comic books woke? Well, they're woke because they're angling their market towards people who aren't in comics. That's why they're woke. But like, I did want to address this as well. So I don't know. This might be my most unpopular downvoted into oblivion video ever, or this might be my most engaged video ever. But I had all this on my heart and I wanted to share this for a while, that like, I'm watching people twist in the wind and getting really frustrated at comic books in general because of all of this nonsense. And I don't know. If you want to have more discussions, if you want to hear what I have to say, or if you just want to let me hear what you have to say, please sound off in the comment section. I respond to everything, and hit subscribe, stick around. I want to have more discussions like this about like the culture of comic books, not just necessarily this like, oh, my book went up 20%. Love you, bye.